I don't have the microphone in right now. I have to focus on driving. As you guys can see, and I don't know if I'm gonna put this in today's video or in tomorrow's video. I'm in the 3. Now I can see actually how helpful the 3 is for daily driving. I can see how it would conserve gas. Right now I actually have regenerative braking on standard. My sister has it on low. But regen braking, I realize, over a certain speed it doesn't help as much. After, I would say at around like 40 miles or so, as soon as you let the accelerator, that's when regen braking really kicks in. Like, it doesn't really help in highway speeds. As soon as you slow down to say like 40 miles per hour, that's when regen braking really helps. Now, the hold mode, when the car slows down, helps as well. Instead of using braking power, as soon as the car comes to a stop, the car will literally come down to one mile per hour even without you being on the brakes. And as soon as you do that, the car will actually go down to 0, and then the temporary electric parking brake will activate, so it'll hold the car temporarily until you want to go again, and then you press on the accelerator. My sibling doesn't have the car in hold mode. I really like it. That way I don't have to press on the brakes. And the brakes are really touchy, but I swear to God, I don't know how many times I actually have to brake or press on the brake in the RX or the Miata. In the 3, I've maybe pressed it 3 times maximum from our house right now to her work. The reason why I drove the car is because the parent is actually at the bank taking care of something. I don't know what she's doing, but that's the reason I took the sibling's car out, and she did give me permission to do so. Under the most unpredictable circumstance ever, that I get to drive the car for the first time actually in, real life. I wanted to hold off on it, but the main, goal of this channel is to capture my genuine impression and my genuine feeling, and this is genuine. I'm choosing the red lights to really talk and explain what my thoughts are, because I have to, try and focus. This is a complete brand new car to me, other than, driving the Model X on the road. This isn't my car, it's my sister's car. I don't want to abuse it. I'm going to be extra careful with it, and this is me being as careful as I possibly humanly can while doing a video. If I have any other thoughts, I'll put it in tomorrow, but for now, I have to focus on driving. Before I actually start talking about my first impressions of the Model 3, I'm going to go grab myself a bottle of water. I don't actually have the video footage on my phone anymore. I airdropped the video footage from my phone onto my laptop and actually deleted the video from my phone. I'm going to go based off of how I felt in a generic order of when I left my house to when I had to pick up my sibling from her work. Just got my water. It's a little chilly for me personally. Gonna walk back to the car, chill for a little bit, and then walk down to the classroom. First impressions on driving the Model 3. Not the ideal environment to be talking about that right now. I wish I was driving it while talking, but unfortunately that's not the case. For us car enthusiasts, I feel like the Model 3 is essentially a cheat code. I say that because, long story short, to put it in a nutshell, we get the acceleration power we need. 1, it's electric, and 2, it doesn't have a transmission. It pretty much only has 1 gear. The most useful time for that 1 gear is when you're changing lanes. Now, if you're driving automatic, most transmissions nowadays still are single clutch, not dual clutch, which means transmission shift timing is complete crap. Whereas if you're driving a manual, you can control the shift timing. But with the Tesla, if say there's a space you want to get into, you signal, you can floor the accelerator and have instant power right then and there. That's what I found to be most useful yesterday when rushing to pick up my sibling. It was actually easy to drive in rush hour traffic, and keep in mind, this was my first time driving a Tesla in a real world situation and in a rush hour traffic situation of all things. Second being the regenerative braking. It's about 15 miles from my house to her work. In a gas operated vehicle, I have to brake a lot for a red light. Whereas a Tesla, because I had my regenerative braking in standard mode, I didn't have to brake at all. All I really did was let off the accelerator and let the battery do the work for me. At highway speeds, it's not as effective. If you're going 65, 70 miles per hour, regen braking is not as effective. Whereas if you're going 40 to 45 miles per hour, as soon as you let off the accelerator, the car will instantly start slowing down by itself, to the point where you don't even have to step on the brakes. You pretty much just let the car roll to a stop. It will roll to a stop. That's what I kept doing yesterday. It'll go from 40 down to 20, down to 5, all the way down to 0. And when you get down to 0 miles per hour, basically a standstill, the electronic parking brake will pretty much kick in by itself temporarily and hold the car there until you step on the accelerator for the car to start rolling again. Any Tesla model is basically a cheat code for us because it's a truly technologically advanced vehicle. For the rest of society, that's unfortunately not the case. Most people get the Tesla because it's efficient, it doesn't use gas, so it is technically cheaper. To people who don't pay attention to driving on the road, it's basically a dangerous weapon in a sense. People aren't used to the instant acceleration of the vehicle, which means if they try to merge and the people around them don't see it coming, they could pretty much have a possibility of endangering another car by hitting them, right? As soon as they step on the accelerator, they shoot forward. It's not as if with a, regular fuel operated vehicle and with the transmission that they actually have to wait for the transition, the downshift, if anything, signal, and then merge into a lane. With a Tesla, you don't have that problem at all. That's why, for me, I would regard the Tesla as the literal translation of a modern version of a manual transmission vehicle. You can go whenever you want, and you can pretty much stop whenever you want. The visibility is also insane. Now, for me, visibility isn't quite as good for, small cars and sports cars. I like to set my seat to the lowest possible setting. That way I can feel the road. What I realized was the biggest problem with that is when the seat is actually on or at the lowest setting. When I look at my blind spot, I actually have to lift myself up because I realized that my eye level is actually where the seat cushion is. So I can't actually see above the seat and look at my blind spot. Sorry, I'm panting. I don't exercise a lot and I was walking kind of fast with this cold weather. I don't do well. Now that I'm back in the car, you can tell my nose is very runny. My hands are freezing cold. Back to what I was saying, Tesla truly is a brilliant vehicle in the right hands. In the wrong hands, pretty much 95% of the population who don't check their blind spots before merging, who are completely oblivious to all the other motorists around them. The people who do get Teslas for the right reasons are, the tech geeks, right? But since they're tech geeks, they read up on everything, right? Which means they know how the Tesla will handle. They know how the Tesla will run. Whereas the average family household who just wants to get the Tesla because it doesn't run on gas, and gas is very expensive here in the Bay Area, possibly, Central California, who aren't used to the Tesla even if they've had it for months because they're probably used to the transmission shifting, which Tesla is instant acceleration. I know I've already talked about that, but I just can't stress that enough. Car enthusiasts, we know about Tesla. We know electric cars have all the power at standstill, so we can anticipate how fast a Tesla will shoot forward when it does. And that's why I keep saying it's a cheat code for us, because it can be a fun car, right? I enjoy driving the Model 3 just from that, let's say, 40 minutes being on the road. From my house to her work is all local road, which means I got to really play with the regenerative braking. And then I got to play with the car at highway speeds because we took the highway on the way back. Just from about 40-45 minutes of seat time, I can already tell that the Tesla is a very fun car. However, I don't love the Tesla because I would still prefer the manual version of the Tesla. If I had to make a comparison, the Tesla really is a modern automatic version of a manual vehicle. It's like a one-gear electric vehicle, if I can put it in a sense. It sounds very weird. Yes, I know. That's just the way how I see it, because that's just the way how I felt about it when driving the vehicle. You'd have to not know what you're doing in order to get in an accident with the Tesla. Another downfall to the Tesla is the durability. I have seen the aftermath of a Model X rear-ending a minivan. I think it was a Honda Odyssey maybe? The Odyssey had no damage at all whatsoever. The bumper, maybe a scratch or two. The entire front end of the Model X was completely totaled. That's the biggest downfall of Tesla, is the durability, because there's nothing between the body and the seats. Yes, the Tesla is fast. Yes, the Tesla is agile, even the Model X. On sports suspension, I think, it has less sway than my Miata on stiff suspension, or as much body roll, which is none at all pretty much from on my car. Just the biggest issue is the durability. The Tesla is safe in a sense if you know what you're doing on the road, but it is not safe at all should you get in a car accident. That will be today's video. I don't know if I'm gonna prolong it anymore. My, bottom statement is, I don't love Tesla, but I do enjoy the way how it drives and the technology. And the only reason why I don't like Tesla is because I just need an engine. If the transmission of this car was fast enough, the RX, unfortunately, it's an 05, I think, or an 06. I always forget. Because the transmission is so slow, I don't like driving this car, but there comes times where I do love driving this car. And one of the reasons why is because it has an engine. My Miata is 26 years old. I love it to death. Why? Because it's a manual. I control the throttle, I control the transmission because it has an engine. Not a battery, it has an engine. I love the 26-year-old car just as much as the RX because I can fully control it. There's nothing about the car that's automatic. There's not even a traction control button or feature in my car. That's how old it is. 26 years old. I feel like I would come to enjoy the Tesla more in the long term, even though it doesn't have a battery, because of the reasons I stated in this video. Because come on, right? Most gamers who are not professional love cheat codes. Tesla is essentially a cheat code for me.